Hi, thanks for taking my call. Is this a good time to speak? Yes, I'm calling you back from the Career Development Center. Yes, we spoke yesterday. So thank you for scheduling your competency test with us. Today we're going to assess your competencies and go over your strengths and measure 16 of the most common work-related competencies for you. And hopefully it's going to help you come up with some development tips. So I need about 15 to 20 minutes of your time to complete the test. Is this a good time to start? Excellent. Great. So can we start by confirming your name? Yes, and could you tell me your surname, please, too? Excellent. Yesterday when you booked and paid for the test, you should have received a confirmation code from us. Could you please repeat that to me? Yes. 4AU. Excellent, thank you. And finally, could you please confirm the first line of your address? Okay, let me just do a last check. Yes, that all checks out. Excellent. So as soon as you're ready, I'm going to begin activating the test on your account. And I'm going to read you some statements. Once I read you a statement, you would need to indicate the extent to which you believe that the statement applies to you. And when you do that, please make sure that you're describing what you're like rather than what you want to be like. So try to be as truthful as you can, and this will allow us to make sure that we give you the most accurate analysis and we can provide you with the best career advice going forward. Okay, great. Does that make sense? Excellent. Okay, so for each statement, there will be 5 possible answers from which to choose. So, first, you can say that the statement does not apply to you at all or never applies to you. And we are going to mark that with 2 minuses. Then you can say that the statement applies to you slightly or sometimes, and that will be marked with 1 minus. You can then say that the statement applies to you a fair bit or irregularly applies to you, but not all of the time. So that's a minus plus. Or you can say the statement certainly does apply to you or often applies to you, which will be a plus. And exactly, you guessed it, a plus plus is for a statement that applies to you completely or always applies to you. Okay? Great, so if you get confused at any time, you can ask me for the instructions again. Now I would like to say, don't think too long about the statements. There are no right or wrong answers, okay? And we're going to try and do this in one go without interruptions. So are you sure you won't be disturbed? Lovely. And I'm going to ask you to answer all the questions, alright? So your options are, does not apply, applies slightly, applies a fair bit, certainly does apply or often applies, or completely and always applies, okay? Great, so let's begin with the first statement. Are you ready? Okay, so we're starting your test now. So statement number 1 is, you are capable of adequately persuading others about something. Great. You notice immediately if something is up with someone else. This is statement number 2. You notice immediately if something is up with someone else. Okay, great. Next, you often spontaneously take charge, or you're appointed by others to take charge. Yeah, great. Thank you. My next question is, question 4. You are capable of performing tasks that require protracted, hard effort. Statement 5. You pay proper attention to consequences in order to ascertain whether the selected approach is worth repeating. Sure, I'll read that again. You pay proper attention to consequences in order to ascertain whether the selected approach is worth repeating. Makes sense, great. I'm just writing down some of your comments here because it will help give our analysts just a little bit of context. Yeah, they love context. Okay, so my next statement is, in cooperation, you focus primarily on the group's interest. You focus primarily on the group's interest. Okay. You're doing great, thank you. Yes. How are you feeling? Fantastic, okay. Are you ready for the next statement? Good. So the next statement is, you are capable of organizing things well. Great. Thank you. Excellent. Next statement. You take other people's wishes, aims, and idiosyncrasies into account. Good. Okay. Yes. Great. That's a great story. Okay. Next, you have a clear goal for your own future, or you have clear goals, multiple goals for your own future. Great. Next statement. You usually wait for the other person to take initiative. You usually wait for the other person to take the initiative. No, I didn't think so. Fabulous. Okay. Statement number 12. You are capable of providing others with good help in order to solve a difficult problem. So, good help is something that you should define for yourself. So whatever the question sparks in your mind. Yeah, okay. Next, you are capable of coming up with a creative solution in the event of problems arising. Okay. Next, you draw up plans and budgets that are accurate. Applies to you completely. Great. That's quite an impressive skill. I have to admit, I'm not always with someone who might say applies completely, but I try. Okay, next statement is, you speak clearly so that everyone understands. You speak clearly so that everyone understands. And you arrive at good decisions quickly, would you say? Now, would you say you look into whether delegated work has actually been performed? So when you delegate work to someone, do you look into whether it's actually been done? Good. I really appreciate you being honest again. What you tell me only serves you because we're able to then give you an analysis that is going to further your career. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Great. The next question is, if something goes wrong, do you always know someone who can fix the issue? Okay. Excellent. Okay. And would you say that you ensure that work has been carried out in line with agreements? So when there's been agreements about the way that the work should be carried out, do you feel that you ensure that it has? Great. Okay. Would you say you persevere even when others start to have their doubts about whether or not the goal is achievable? Okay. And would you say that when making a decision, you take everything that is important into consideration? great. You're doing so well. Wonderful. How do you feel? You okay? Do you need a break? No, good. Okay. Now, would you say you managed to adapt properly if circumstances change? Okay. And would you say that you're capable of coming up with 10 uses for a simple object? It doesn't have to be 10 exactly, but you understand the question. Yes, good. And would you say you're capable of being the person that intervenes effectively in an emergency situation? Okay. And would you say you always know someone who can help? Yeah. Okay. Would you describe yourself as someone who has a thorough knowledge of what is going on around you? Okay. And that you manage to draw astute conclusions from muddled information? And would you say you understand others, even if they're being unclear? And would you say you have a keen sense of what a writer is trying to get across in text? Okay. Do you feel that you sometimes give up when things get tough? It's very normal, isn't it? Would you describe yourself as someone who is sensitive to nonverbal cues like body language and gestures? Okay. And would you say you're careful and yet resolute when making decisions? Okay. Do you work on your own development purposefully? Okay. And would you say you ensure the perfect results by means of thorough checks or monitoring? Okay. Would you say that most people regard you as someone nice to talk to? Okay. And would most people say you have a clear vision of your own future? Okay. Would you say you consider all interests at stake when making decisions? Okay. Do you ever feel that you are quick to lose motivation when encountering setbacks? Okay. And that you're capable of staying mentally switched on, even when there's a risk of something serious happening, like an accident? Okay. Would you say you keep working on improving your own competencies? And that you're capable of listening to others properly? Good. You're doing fantastic. We're almost there. Okay. Would you say that when composing letters or emails, you see to it that there's no room for misunderstandings? Okay. And do you immediately see what is and what is not important? Okay. And do you regularly check whether work is proceeding according to the plan? Are you capable of properly analyzing causes and effects? Analyzing causes and effects, yeah. Okay. Do you feel that you're someone who persists until the goal has been achieved? And would you say you're capable of estimating what is required in order to implement a plan? Would you say others regard you as a good leader? Yeah, you're going so quick now, I haven't had to take many notes. If you do find that you have more information to give me or any context, please feel free to stop me and just let me know and I will type it up, okay? Great. Excellent. Okay, would you say that you are able to commit to another person's goal, and to this end you're capable of letting go of your own goals? So are you able to let go of your own goals when you commit to another person's goal? Okay. Would you say you have a good idea as to what order it would be best to perform work in? So when you have work tasks to do. Okay. Are you used to giving others space and support? Okay. And do you often identify possibilities that others do not spot? Great. Would you say you're capable of improvising well and responding quickly and effectively to unexpected events? Great. And do you have goals and make plans for yourself that you find that you're able to achieve? Excuse my colleagues here in the background. We're in quite a busy center. Yeah, we have a lot of interest around January time when people find that they set resolutions and begin to make plans for the year. Okay. Do you find that you manage to make the right decision in complex situations? And do you stay calm in confrontations with aggressive people? Okay. Excellent. Would you say you quickly come up with an alternative approach if an approach isn't working? Okay. Would you say that others regard you as a persuasive personality? Do you find yourself hesitating when it comes to minor decisions? Makes sense. Okay. And would you say you often manage to give a discussion a pleasant or interesting twist? Good. Oh, yeah. Yes, I can definitely recognize that in you. Excellent. Would you say that you share your knowledge and resources with others without expecting anything in return? And would you say you set a goal and manage to influence others in such a way that they commit to achieving this goal? So when you set a goal, are you able to influence others to commit to achieving that goal? Would you say you're attentive to other people's reactions when they speak? Okay. And do you give others a feeling of satisfaction or pride in themselves? Good, we're almost there. Yeah, it is a lot of questions, but it allows us to get to know you as much as we possibly can. Okay, just a few more. Would you say that you persevere in the face of adversity? Yeah. And are you capable of expressing feelings properly in written medium? Okay. Would you say that you manage to estimate with great accuracy how someone is feeling? Okay. Great. Would you say you occasionally overlook a significant opportunity when making decisions? From time to time, yeah. Okay. Are you occasionally able to need to see results in order to keep working? Okay. And do you find it easy to strike up relationships with people even if you don't know them? Okay. And are you capable of splitting a complex problem into manageable sub-problems? Yeah, say more. Okay. Would you say that you love surprises? Yeah. Okay. Are you able to have a clear vision of what is required in order to achieve a goal? Okay. And would you say you're capable of explaining something tricky in such a way that others can understand? Okay. Okay. Would you say you manage to split up a working day so that all the important things will get done? Okay. And do you react flexibly to surprises, both pleasant and unpleasant? Okay. that you know a lot of people? Mm-hmm. Okay. And do you manage to get across what you mean with precision when communicating with someone else? Okay. Fantastic. You're doing so great. Excellent. And there's only a few questions left now. I'm just going to navigate to the last page here. And I'll have your results for you. Okay. So, a few more questions. Do you feel that you notice the effect of your own behavior on others? Okay. And do you genuinely implement decisions even if this proves harder than anticipated? Okay. Do you take time to allow experiences to sink in so as to learn something from them? Okay. And would you say that you notice if someone finds something enjoyable or boring? Okay. Are you usually the first one to raise a problem for discussion? Okay. Do you sense immediately if someone else is unhappy? Okay. And do you find that you seize upon opportunities that present themselves? Okay. Fantastic. So these were the questions. How do you feel having done these? Yeah. Yeah, it made you think about yourself a lot, huh? Yeah, when I first started working here, I did the same questionnaire in order to understand how, I operate. And it helps you also to build empathy toward your line of work. So then when I speak with customers like yourself, I'm able to think about how they might be feeling and how they're experiencing the questionnaire. And it's definitely something that makes you think, doesn't it? Okay, so let me run the test here. Let's see how long it's going to get us the results. While the results are calculating, can you just tell me if you are male, female, or another category, or prefer not to tell me? Okay. And what is your age? Okay, and where are you from? Really? Oh, I've always wanted to go there. Okay, and is your education level primary school, high school, college, university, PhD, or other? And are you taking this test, and you can tell me as many as apply, purely for fun, for insight into yourself, to explore areas for development, to know what work or study suits you, to prepare for an assessment or job application procedure, or as part of an assessment or job application procedure? Okay. And what is your current employment status? Okay. Fabulous. So, let me just see what results we received for you. Just bear with me for a second. Okay. So just before I tell you your results, what I need to tell you is you should bear something in mind when we look at the report. The first thing to say is a high or low score in terms of a competency does not imply any form of value judgment, okay? So for certain roles, it can be in fact important to have certain competencies to a greater degree than other people, or the opposite, okay? And then you should also be aware that this test will not reveal competencies directly, as it involves self-assessment of your competencies. So with a self-assessment, even though you're being very honest, there's always going to be a level of subjectivity. Okay. And the last thing to say is your scores are going to be relative to those with your demographics. So for example, you can have plenty of competencies and get high scores, but still struggle in your work because your job is harder than the average job in the world of work, and it requires intermediate level vocational education or above. And so we really look at your competencies compared to those in your demographic, okay? So I'm going to tell you a few of your results, Now, if you'd like, we can book another follow-up with a consultant who is going to look at these results with you and do more of a discussion, and also give you his or her understanding and analysis as well. Okay, so this is just for you to understand some of the results now, and we will, of course, send all of these to you by email and by mail as well, by post, okay? Lovely. Okay, so let me tell you where you are with some of these things. So, when it comes to the competencies, we have several. The first one is noticing. With noticing, you have scored in the 20th percentile, so you are exactly in the middle in terms of the average scores, okay? With regards to taking initiative, you have scored extremely high, so you're in the 7th percentile out of everyone who has taken the test, okay? So taking initiative is a competency you scored extremely high on. Likewise, you scored extremely high on communicating and writing, communicating verbally, helping, and networking. The areas where we feel that you could get a little bit of help, where you've scored below average, are self-management and development, and this is likely because you may have very high goals for yourself, and you have scored as such because you may have interpreted your own performance as needing to be more astute because you do hold those competencies in high regard, okay? You also scored high in helping, in leading, in reacting flexibly, persevering, planning and organizing, deciding, creating, and analyzing. So you've done very, very well. So the area that you scored the highest in, taking the initiative, means that you are a self-starter, that you make most of opportunities, and you take on things even if they entail risk. Does that make sense? Okay. So simple questions include often takes initiative, or the first one to raise a problem, and you scored high on this compared to the reference group. People with a low score will often be hesitant and miss out on opportunities or let others take the lead, whereas for you with a high score, it means you're a self-starter without needing to be prompted to act or have an example set by someone else. Okay. One disadvantage you may see in your career is that it might mean that you are sometimes too quick to make a decision or take excessive risk, or not allow others to have enough of a say, okay? So these are things to watch out for. So we have a few development tips for you that again will come in your report. So one development tip that we have is for you to brainstorm with others without criticizing each other's ideas. This is in a way to help you to react flexibly and do things in a way that is different from how you intend. Okay? We also have some tips for you in the areas of strength in taking initiative. So ask yourself regularly whether the work could be better or more fun. And remember that successful initiatives bring plenty of recognition, so it's always worth considering taking initiative, okay? Also, think about deliberately dwelling on the possible consequences of errors as a way for you to ensure that you check other people and your own actions and products as satisfactory. Okay, this is an area where you scored a little bit lower but still above average. I'm very impressed with you. In general, your scores are fantastic. Yeah. You also, like I said, have a slightly lower score in self-management and self-development. So the areas that we would say we would recommend for you to focus on are regularly asking others for feedback and taking time to reflect on your experiences. And finally, set long-term goals, but also remain open to unforeseen possibilities. Okay. Yeah, so your top 5 competencies are 1. Taking the initiative. 2. Communicating and writing. 3. Deciding. 4. Helping. 5. Planning and organizing. Okay. Wonderful. How do you feel? very important that you take this with a pinch of salt. Like I said, this is a self-assessment. It's good for us to see how you score yourself. But if you'd like, we can continue with a consultation to follow up, okay? Great. So why don't you take some time to review the full report? It's going to be about 30 pages, so you can get a lot of value and detail out of it. And then when you feel that you're ready, you can click the link in your email and schedule a follow-up assessment. Wonderful. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Is there anything else I can help you with? Great. Okay, take care.